This presentation is about a subject that's near and dear to anyone who's in business, and a lot of other places too. Can be generalized to them. It's about maximizing employee productivity. The notion is that people who are in business want their people who work with them or for them to be as productive as possible, because that's the centerpiece of business. It's how they make money. It's how they get more done in less time. And it seems like there's often a tug of war. Management wants people to do certain things, and people sort of resist in some fashion because they're not motivated, they're not inspired, they don't care much, it's not their thing, what do they care, so on and so forth. And here's a little formula. You can have permanent maximum employee productivity because that equals leadership clarity plus hands-on participation and coaching, utilizing deliberate practice, which we'll describe, times discretionary effort. And all these things need to be understood by people who want to be better leaders. And this presentation gets into all of that. The thing about it is, if you want to be more productive, you want to have more productive people no matter what area you're working in, profit, non-profit, athletic competition, military combat, whatever it is, it takes leadership. And I define leadership as the ability to influence what people think, what they believe, what they say, and what they do. And also I think of it rather, it's a decision people can make rather than a position they hold. In other words, leadership can come from anywhere, once you know what the practices are. This is a picture many people have seen, probably everyone's seen it. George Washington crossing the Delaware River on December 25th, 1776, on his way to the Battle of Trenton, New Jersey. At the time of this event, Washington and the troops of the American Revolution had been at war for over a year, and they were losing big time. There had been a lot of illness. There was some smallpox epidemic among the troops, all of whom, by the way, were volunteers. A lot of them got discouraged and just left and went back to their farms and their businesses. And Washington thought, if we don't have a victory pretty soon, we're doomed. We're not going to be a free country. And Washington, of course, would probably be arrested and tried for treason and hanged. So he was desperate to figure out a way to motivate the men to do something that seemed impossible. Crossing this river in the wintertime, then marching 19 miles in the snow, in a blizzard, to fight a group of soldiers called the Hessians, who were the allies of the British at the time. The Hessians were the best fighting force in the world, extremely well equipped. Where a lot of Washington's men didn't have any more ammunition. They ran out of shot and powder. They didn't have boots, they'd all worn out. Didn't have good food, and as I said, they were sick and discouraged. So he did something unheard of as a general to get the troops motivated to cross that river. I'll tell you quickly what that thing was. Instead of spending his few days before the battle in the command tent and just barking orders, he went out among his troops, all of them, 2,400 of them, in small groups. He told them what his plan was. He figured that they could sneak up on the Hessians the day after Christmas, because on Christmas Day they'd be celebrating and drinking and having a good time, and then they'd go to bed. And they wouldn't have their pickets out, they wouldn't have their guards out. He figured they could sneak up on them, surround them, and capture them without hardly firing a shot. He convinced his troops of his plan. No general ever did that at that time. They never talked to their troops. They talked to their colonels, their captains, their majors, but they wouldn't tell the soldiers at the very bottom level what they had in mind. Washington did that, and it worked. They tried to get 2,400 troops across the river, including horses, because they had to take the cannons along with them. They didn't have very many boats. They only got half the men across. Then they split the men into two groups. One took the low road, one took the high road towards Trenton, New Jersey, 18 miles through the snow. They snuck up on the Hessians, surrounded them, and captured them, hardly firing a shot. 4 Americans died doing that, but they died because they stopped to take a nap and froze to death, not because they were killed by the Hessians. Word of this victory spread like wildfire throughout the colonies. A lot of the troops who left came back. About a week later, Washington and the same bunch of boys went to fight another group of soldiers in Princeton, New Jersey, and also defeated them and captured them. They captured all of their equipment, all of their food, their boots, their weapons, and now they were ready to win the war, and the war was won. This is leadership principle number 1, leadership practice number 1. Share your plans. Tell people what you're going to do. And it worked. Great story, and there's a lot more to it. This is a picture of Vince Lombardi, who took over the job as head coach of the Green Bay Packers football team after the team had experienced 12 years of losing seasons. They call that in Green Bay the wilderness period. He came along to a team that nobody wanted to work for. He came along with a team that had players nobody wanted to be on. And in the first season, with his innovative coaching techniques, all about leadership, he turned it around, and for the next 9 years they had championship seasons. The last 2 of them were the first 2 victories in the Super Bowl. He did things no head football coach ever did before. And the seminar is about those things and other things. Leadership practice number 1, be crystal clear about what you expect. Number 2, with frequent honest feedback, let your people know where they stand and where you stand. Number 3, apply tough love accountability to turn around loser performance. 4, make everyone be brilliant in the basics. Train, observe, train, observe, train, observe forever. Lombardi was an excellent trainer. 5, treat each person as an individual. 6, lead yourself first. Know what you want. If you're going to be a leader, you got to know what you want. And 7, master your time and master your day. These 7 practices make up dynamite, miracle kind of leadership, and I'll tell you some stories, other stories about this too, time permitting. But this is what I want to present to Rotary Club sometime January, February, March. You guys decide. I can do it in the time slot allotted, no problem. And it will knock your socks off. It really will. It's a great story. Just let me know when. I'll be there.